What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the TB Toycast YouTube channel. And it is, of course, Saturday, and you know what that means. It is time for another edition of What's on the Pegs? Time to see what I have been finding out there during my toy hunt, as it were. Hopefully you enjoyed last week's video. That was episode 28, which was all about my trip to Retromania. Something a little bit different, but something I may do from time to time. And, of course, this week is episode 29. I'm always hitting a variety of stores, from Walmart to Target to a lot of vintage toy shops. And I highly recommend, if you are a fan of this video series and a fan of hunting toys, you check out your vintage toy shops. New ones pop up all the time. I know there'll be times I will Google my local hometown toy store and something new will pop up, like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know about this. So it's always good to check, because sometimes with that marketing, people put stuff on Facebook and think, hey, it'll reach everybody, and sometimes it doesn't. So it's always good to do a little Google searching. It did help me in a lot of cases, because I have stores pop up, it seems like, every few months. It's hard to visit them all, in fact. Of course, this is a vintage toy shop. I checked out the Street Sharks. It's always cool to see those. Of course, this says $89.99. A lot of people probably get sticker shock for that, but that's actually for the entire first wave. So not a terrible deal there. It might be wave 2. In fact, I'm not 100%. No, it's wave 1. These didn't set anyone's worlds on fire, which was really disappointing, because I was hoping these would do well. It just didn't happen. And then, of course, the Sectars, they're from Nacelle, also didn't set a lot of worlds on fire. But again, you know, I think with Nacelle, they got Biker Mice from Mars. They got Sectar, stuff that's been around, but is kind of retro and doesn't really have the fandom of like a Ninja Turtles. But they are getting Star Trek, and I've talked about that a little bit on the podcast, and I don't know, I think that could change things up for them. We'll see, I guess, but always interesting to see stuff like this. And honestly, these Sectar figures look really good. It's just I know nothing about them, so it's not something I would probably dive into personally. This one, however, is definitely something I like. It is a Marvel Legends Agent Anti-Venom from the Spider-Man line, with a crossover of Magic the Gathering. This is definitely a crossover no one expected. I think these are, it says 35 there. I don't think that's accurate. I think these are closer to $40. But you get the Magic the Gathering card. I know nothing about Magic the Gathering, but I've heard people do sell this card. So I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. You could probably sell that and make half your money back if these are figures you're into. I did have Agent Anti-Venom years ago, and then made the brash decision that I no longer needed Marvel Legends and sold it, which was a huge mistake, because that one's actually really expensive now and hard to find. So good on Hasbro for re-releasing it. I'm sure some people didn't like that, but someone like me who just wants a figure that doesn't have it, it works out. So I will have to pick that up at some point. Always cool to see some new WWE Legends at Target. This was an interesting wave, the Click Wave, as it were. I believe this is Series 28, as it says there. And, of course, this wave included Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Razor Ramon, Diesel, and Shawn Michaels. But I got a picture here of Razor and Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Not a bad wave. A cool costume idea for Razor, which he did wear this night with the yellow boots and the kind of light purple trunks, which is a little bit different for him, because we didn't see that much. All of them have the click hands, which, of course, making reference to that infamous curtain call incident. I do wish Triple H had his ring jacket, because I'm like, he wore that out that night. So that's one issue I do have with this. Otherwise, they're not figures I really need, but it is cool to get these back in the Elite line, especially if you don't have any of them. It's a good way to grab them. And a cool moment to recreate, as it were. Some NECA stuff. We got Vacation Bebop and Vacation Rocksteady. Very cool. We also got an Adventures Ace Duck. And then Punk Leonardo and Punk Raphael there, kind of on the other side. These are cool. I'm so over NECA at this point. Like, I know NECA's doing great stuff, but they were great initially, but I feel like we've gotten so deep into it, it's hard for me to dive in. But I'm sure they're doing well. They are moving, but some of these 2-packs, I'm like, ugh, really? With the prices continually rising and rising and rising, it was really hard for me to dive into these anymore. I remember one of the last 2-packs I bought was like $75. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, it to the point where I'm like, I can't hardly do this anymore. And that really drove me away from wanting to continue the line. But some people are still into it, and if you are, that's really cool. It just, your mileage may vary on these, as it were. This is an interesting new find at Target. It was new Stranger Things action figures. We have Dustin, we have the Demogorgon, and we have 11. I believe these were actually made by Jazzwares. Very, very cool. Stranger Things is obviously a hugely popular show. I will admit I did watch it and then kind of fell out off of it. I need to catch back up, but I think with the world of streaming, that's always available. It's always on Netflix. I can always pick it up whenever. I just haven't yet, but I do want to. I remember having some of the Funko Pops back in the day, which are always a lot of fun, but hopefully this continues when we get a bunch of action figures of it. It seems like with a lot of these lines are very limited and kind of start and stop, but I would love to see a full line of Stranger Things figures because these look really cool. Very modern scale. Very, very fun. So I guess we will see what happens. Some Toonie Terrors at Target. These are always a big hit from NECA. Of course, we got Pretty Woman Leatherface. I do like how he's got different card art. We got a black and white version of the Mummy. We got John Carver from Thanksgiving. That's kind of a deep cut, but very, very fun. Then, of course, a classic in Michael Myers. I was all in on these initially, and then I kind of fell out. Now I'm kind of like, I don't know. I do that a lot with certain toy lines where I like them, but I don't like them that much. And that's kind of how these fall, where I'm like, oh, these are great, but they're not that great. So I'm like, I don't know. Don't know if I need them. But they are fun. They're cool to see. They seem like they're relatively easy to find, whether it be online or eBay or something. And I don't think the price skyrockets on two of them too much, but it is cool. You can get characters like Elvira, Beetlejuice. I mean, it's a very deep line. They've even done like Superman and the Joker and Pee Wee Herman, so some off the wall characters too. I think they did Bert and Ernie as well. So it is fun. It's a little bit cheaper line, as you can see, $14.99, way better than $35 for an Ultimate, but different for sure. But I do like it. I think it's kind of fun. Now these were an interesting find. I think I showed these off a while back, but it's worth showing again. The DC Sonic crossover line. We got Knuckles with Superman, and we got Shadow with Batman. These, of course, come from Jakks. Jakks dipping into DC. Good for them. Very, very unique. I remember Kyle Peterson made a point that he was wondering how tall these figures were, hoping they were Marvel Legends scale. They are definitely not. They're quite a bit shorter than that, but they are fun for what they are. I'm kind of curious if Jakks ends up doing more of these, or if they're all going to be kind of crossover style. This doesn't really appeal to me, but if they had a line of just the superheroes, that actually might be something I do like. A little taller than maybe a G.I. Joe scale. I would say maybe a 4.5 to 5 inch scale, but they look really good, and I don't know. I think they're kind of fun. So it's different for sure, but unique. We'll see what happens. I know McFarlane is losing the collectible license. Who's to say Spin Master didn't lose the kind of the kid-based license, and we could see Jakks picking it up. I wouldn't be shocked by that at all. We'll see what happens, of course. The 80th anniversary of Mattel set of He-Man and Skeletor. This was a really fun set. $50 takes this home. But these are almost identical to the original releases. Now, I haven't done a shot-by-shot comparison, of course, and this is not something I plan to pick up. But it is cool. It is different. A little expensive for what it is, but what a cool box. 80 years of Mattel. That's kind of crazy they've been around that long. But, of course, Barbie, Hot Wheels, a lot of those properties. He-Man was obviously the early 80s. A lot of those properties have been around for many, many years. So it's also not really shocking it's been around that long, but still like 80 years, you think, wow, that's a long time. But, of course, a fun way to get some classic figures back in the marketplace. It's weird, though, because I collect in lines. Like, I don't like one-offs as much. So it's like, well, where do you put these? Like, they don't really go with anything else. They don't go with your Origins. And if you have a vintage collection, you probably have these too. So it's a hard one for me to want to dive into. But like anything, it's cool to see it on the pegs. No doubt about it. $50, so it's a little steep. A little bit steep. Some X-Men 97, always cool to see these on the pegs. We got Emma Frost, we got Jubilee, and we got Morph. Very, very cool. Morph, didn't he die in like the first episode of the first X-Men show, something like that? I remember him always being a fun character, multiple heads, which is a really nice touch. Emma Frost, always a good character. Nice, fun version of Jubilee. The X-Men 97 figures, I think, are really cool because they are so similar to the original X-Men, but a little bit different. A little bit different, a little bit unique to where you're like, okay, these could kind of mix in well, but also be their own thing. Very, very cool. None I needed to pick up, but definitely fun. A lot of these characters, I don't feel like I need every version. And it goes with this version as well, because I have more X-Men 97 here. We've got Cable, we've got Logan, we've got Sunspot. I do have a Sunspot Marvel Legends, which I think is based more on his X-Force look, which is really cool. Logan, of course, classic Wolverine, but in street clothes, very, very cool. And this is a really cool version of Cable. I've always kind of liked the brighter colors personally. They did a Marvel Legends Cable, I don't know, probably about a year ago at this point, with the brighter colors that I thought looked a little bit better personally. But it's all really cool. Again, definitely a fun figure, no doubt about it. And actually a really fun line. And, it's good that we're getting more X-Men 97 finally. Little Monday Night Wars action, kind of crazy to see these on the pegs. We got The Undertaker, we've got The Shark, we've got Brian Pillman of the Hart Foundation. Of course, all part of the Michael Cole Build-A-Figure wave, and you can barely see it, but there's actually an Eric Bischoff there behind Brian Pillman. Kind of crazy to see all of these on the pegs. It's like, wow, okay, good. But, again, I think it's weird that they're so hard to find, where the Target Legends are so easy to find. Even a character like the most recent Great Muta, I thought, oh, that's going to be tough, but I saw it like 6 or 7 times. I pre-ordered that online, making sure I would get it, but I still saw it on the pegs. So it's to me, that's the beauty of Target. It's like you'll always find it. I wish Walmart was the same way. Give us 4 or 5 of these. Maybe they will sell out the first time, but get more and kind of gauge that audience a little bit better. I don't know why it's that way, but it definitely is. I know a lot of people were very excited that the LJNs were going to Target for that reason, but also at the same time very upset that Walmart was getting the Street Fighter, because it's like, oh god, I'm never going to see those, because it's that's just kind of the story with Walmart. And we'll round it out with this. Always cool to see these. The new McFarlane Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Page Punchers. This, of course, Leonardo. I had to pick all of these up. I've actually done an unboxing on Leonardo already. That's up on the channel. I love this line. When they initially showed them off, I didn't really give it a lot of thought, but the more I saw them, I'm like, okay, I really like these. I love the IDW comic. I read probably the first 12 or 13 volumes of the graphic novels. Absolutely love the comic. I know Wave 2 we're getting Raphael, Michelangelo, and Bebop, so I would imagine Rocksteady and some other characters will probably be on the way soon thereafter, but I really like these. I feel like they're awesome figures. The comic book is super fun. You get an extra head, you get a sword holder, 2 swords, 2 extra fists, and extra feet, so you can kind of position him like he's taken off about to run. Very, very cool. We don't get extra feet a lot. That's unique. So I dig these a lot, and definitely was an easy pickup for me. In fact, I struggled to find the Foot Soldier, but I eventually did. But that's it. That's all I got for this week on What's on the Pegs. But, of course, let me know what you are finding on the pegs. What have you found out there? Drop it in the comments down below. Of course, check out my other unboxing videos. I do 3 unboxing videos every single week. Lots of cool stuff this week, as it were. On Monday, I dove into... this whole week it's been a series of really, really fun videos. On Monday, I dove into Sinestro from DC Super Friends. That's always a fun one, of course. On Wednesday, I did a really interesting one, Wrestling Tycoon's Ring Rats line. I dove into the Macho King Randy Savage. These are totally different, totally unique, but super fun. And on Friday, something, again, very different for me, Star Trek The Next Generation, Captain Picard from Playmates Toys. That was actually a really fun figure. I was excited to get into those, so check all those out on the channel. Of course, check out the TB Toycast podcast. Every Thursday with me and Travis, we have a different main event covering a different toy line. As well, this week was all about Ultimate Muscle from Bandai, the 6-inch scale, which were a lot of fun, as well as all the news and happenings in the toy world that particular week. So check all of those out. Thank you all very much for checking out the TB Toycast YouTube channel. This has been What's on the Pegs, and we will see you in the toy aisle.
Yeah. One more time. It ain't over till I say it's over. So lock the cage up, cause this is a takeover. The wait's over. If this the final time we meet, then you'll be on your back on my feet. Then I'll tip the cage over as a hangover. I'm super fly so I can splash off the top. And I can shut down the shot.